Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My father had so much money. He had so much money that we always used to keep these other Changani bags in our home. So we used to do this other money counting challenge, and still we were unable to count all the money that my father always had in our home. And this money, it used to be everywhere. But there was one thing that our parents had told us. They told us that if you ever find money when you are playing outside, you just don't need to pick it up during the day. You can only pick it up when the sun would have gone down. So after the sun would have gone down, then my mom will take us and then she will say, where did you find the money? Then we will go there. Then my mom, instead of picking up the money, she will say, okay, kick the money as if it is a soccer ball. So we will kick the money, and then when we will be at the front door, that was when we will pick up the money and go with it indoors. These were some of the strange things that used to happen when we were still growing up. Then there was this other day, we had gone to Semilevi village. That is where we used to do our shopping. Then my father saw this other man, a white man, who was driving a Mitsubishi Pajero. In those years, like, that was the car that everyone wanted to have. Like, if you were rich, you needed to drive that Pajero. You had to drive one. And if you were not driving that one, you were not considered to be rich. It's like there were the GD6 and the Range Rovers of that day. So whilst we were there, that was when we saw that white man who was driving a Pajero. So my father then went and spoke with that man. He said that he had bought his car in South Africa and he had brought it to Zim. That is how much my father had so much money. He went to South Africa and he bought that car. He used to love a lot of cars and he introduced me to cars, and we were really close, me and my father. By the time that my father passed away, he had told me that he was a ritualist, and my father told me that he had gone to Mozambique to get the charms that were giving him money. He was filthy rich, and he said that he did not even care if his relatives knew that he was the one who was sacrificing the rest of the family or not. He said that my children, they are my relatives, because some of my father's relatives, they used to come and they will say, you are going to finish all of your relatives. You are going to kill all of your relatives. And when you are going to die, who is going to bury you after you would have sacrificed all of your relatives? So my father was someone that was always soft-spoken. He would never get angry quickly. He was always quiet, reading his newspaper, whilst his poor relatives will be busy insulting him. And after they would have finished insulting him, then he will say, so when are you going back to the village? And when they will say that they want to go back to the village, he will say, okay, get into the car. Then we will take them to where they will catch the buses returning back to the village. And when we will be returning back, my father will be like, to hell with these fools, these poverty-stricken fools. They come here and they threaten me and they say, who is going to bury you when you are dead? That is why I have these children that I have. If I die, they are going to be the ones that are going to bury me. Are you not going to bury me, my children? And we buried our own father alone. Our mother told us that there was no need for us to call our relatives because we were our father's relatives. My father, he had a 1991 Pajero, very expensive at that time. If you were poor, you could not be able to buy it. Only those that had money, they were the ones that were able to buy that 1991 Mitsubishi Pajero. And it used to command respect in the streets. It was driven by people, only people that had money. My father, he used to travel with a snake at the back of his Pajero. My father, he had this other leather bag. Like, during those days, they used to produce this original leather bags. So he used to have one, and he kept that snake inside that leather bag of his. And he gave that snake to me, and he said, my son, I have given this snake to you, for it now belongs to you. My father, he died whilst he was at this other private clinic here in Harare. That was where he passed away. So my father, he was keeping that bag with the snake in it whilst he was at the hospital. And the nurses did not even bother to check if there was anything in that bag, because he was always protected by his two bodyguards. At all the times he had these bodyguards, and these bodyguards, they had been strengthened also by the same traditional healer. So those bodyguards, they were the ones that were making sure that the nurses will never touch that leather bag, because it was always supposed to be close to my father. So these bodyguards, what they used to do is that one will come back home, because this snake, even though it survives on human blood, but not all the times, you have to cook soft porridge for it. And it is not like normal porridge. You need to prepare sorghum porridge for it. So you would come maybe after 2 days when the snake would have gotten hungry. Then there was this other wooden plate. So you have to cook this porridge inside a clay pot. So in my own case, I have this other friend of mine who has this very big farm that he was left for by his own father, who was also a ritualist. So I go to that farm because that is where the snake told me that I have to go and get firewood. So I hook the trailer on my car. Then I go there with this other friend of mine who is also a ritualist. I am the one who introduced him to all of these rituals. We go there and we then cut our firewood using our home light close to this other small stream, and then we load the firewood into the trailer. So at my home, I then built this other thatched gazebo, and there I'll be busy acting as if I am having a braai, because even my wife's relatives, they do not even know that I am a ritualist. So I pretend as if I am having a braai, but I will be busy cooking soft porridge for this snake, and no one even knows that these are the rituals that I will be doing it. So those were the same rituals that my father was doing when he was still alive, cooking soft porridge made out of sorghum so that it can have something to eat. Then when it feels thirsty, that is when it will tell you that it demands that you give it human blood, but it is not like each and every time. So that is how I got involved into these rituals. My father was the one who introduced me. When my father gave me this bag, he said that my mother was the one who was going to help me, to train me on how I was supposed to feed this snake, on how I was supposed to feed this snake, on how I was supposed to communicate with this snake, because spiritually it still belonged to my father. There was still a change of ownership that was going to happen. So we went to Mozambique. When we went to Mozambique, that was when the transfer was done. The snake then became mine. And then the other rituals that I have to perform is that I have to constantly sleep with different women, and each and every time when I'll be sleeping with different women that I take care of, those women, they will start to have problems with their wombs, because when I am making love to them, it affects their wombs. It's like the snake will be sleeping with them as well. This is my own confession. When you have posted my story, please tell me, inform me, and I will be following through in the comment section. but chipoko chake chinoti kana chauya kwandiri ndinotoona ndatova nesikarudzi. Sikarudzi yangu it will just appear out of nowhere. This is my own story, mukomanashi.